Greetings. Let us learn about Retrieval Net. So as you can see here, this is a retrieval net, and you identify that it looks like a snare, but the snare has a fishing net. So that net would allow us to capture irregular foreign bodies, meat boluses, and also polyps after resection in the colon or in the stomach. The operation of retrieval net is relatively simple. You open the hand, the retrieval net opens up, and if you close the hand, the retrieval net closes. Open, close. And when it comes to the use of retrieval net, I would like to share some precautions. You open the net and you try to close the net slowly once the endoscopist is able to grasp the polyp or pieces of polyp. And the reason I say you should close slowly is that the snare wire that is part of the net can actually capture the mucosa. And there is one perforation related to the use of a retrieval net, as the net was being closed and the endoscopist did not realize and tried to pull, and it resulted in a perforation. So that's one. The second one is when you're using a retrieval net to retrieve pieces in the right colon after a large polyp resection, probably it's a good idea for the endoscopist to bring the pieces distal to the resection site and store them there, so that at the end of the procedure, the net can be used to pick up the specimens that are distal to the resection. The reason I say this is, after EMR, it is a common practice for most endoscopists to close the EMR defect with the clips, especially in the cecum or in the ascending colon or in the proximal colon, to reduce the risk of delayed bleeding. Once you close the defect with the clips, and if you have not brought the specimens distal to the resection, what happens is when you gather the specimens in the net and you're trying to bring the net from the cecum beyond the clip closed area, it is not uncommon for the clip for the net to get stuck in the clips, and then that could actually cause more problems as the endoscopist tries to struggle to get the clips out of the way, and in the process you could loosen the clip closed defect. So what I typically do is, when I resect a polyp in piecemeal fashion, I bring the polyp specimens from the site to a little bit distal to the resection site, so that I don't get into this problem of my net getting entangled in the clips that were used for closing the defect. Something to keep in mind. And the second one is, when the assistant is closing the net, it's important to close the net slowly so as to avoid entrapping the mucosa into the net and cause additional damage to the colon wall. Retrieval net is also useful to remove food boluses, and it's important to be able to pass the net gently around the food bolus so as to capture but this can become quite frustrating as the net may not open up in that small esophagus. So something to keep in mind. Retrieval net can be used to remove coins, and as the coins are being removed from the stomach, it's important to figure out whether the coin could come out easily at the G junction and again at the cricopharynx. One simple technique is to have a cap-fitted endoscope when removing these coins and stay just above the G junction so that the cap keeps the G junction open and the net with the coin is kept very close to the scope, and then a little bit of a gentle rotation of the scope would allow the foreign body to come out much more easily. As the net is coming out of the upper pharynx, it is a good idea to straighten the esophagus, hypopharynx, and mouth into relatively straight segment. It cannot be absolutely straight segment because of the curvature, by giving a little bit of an extension of jaw thrust and extending the neck to straighten the upper pathway. After removing any foreign body, it is a good idea for the endoscopist to go back and make sure that there is no damage to the lining of the G junction area or the cricopharyngeal area or the pharynx. Thank you.